topic we have for EPM narrative reporting. One of the key aspects that we're going to focus is more about building a future-ready financial reporting strategy. So it's not just about a reporting, but how you can actually have your strategy in place, which is more future-ready. It can be with regard to collaboration, getting listed on the stocks or any of the stock exchanges, whatever may be the business scenario coming forward. With that, moving to the next slide, talking about who we are. So we as a NexInfo are based or headquartered in Southern California with presence across United States, Europe, and India. We are a business process and software consulting services with we are into our 23rd year and catering to multiple business processes, which includes EPM, ERP, human resource, CX, PLM, supply chain, etc. From software expertise standpoint, Oracle being one of our primary product, which we try to do our product consulting and software consulting. Along with that, we also take care of NetSuite, Kinaxis, Intellinum, etc. We have been awarded by multiple leading agencies like Gartner, Inc. 5000, CIO Review, and recently got featured in Yahoo Finance. So with that, moving to next slide, talking about who, like myself, I am Hemal Parikh, Senior Architect and Practice Lead for Oracle Cloud Practice of NexInfo. I'm a certified implementation specialist, helping customers to adopt Oracle Cloud in more of a seamless way, utilizing the best practices that are available both across the product and across the industry. I am a regular speaker or frequent speaker at multiple Oracle OATG forums, including the Ascent, any of the prior events with regard to the specific regional forums, as well as got my publications in OATG Insight magazine. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Prakash, my co-presenter. Over to you, Prakash.
Hey, thanks, folks, for extending your time today. And this is Prakash Malmarkan. I'm the EPM Solution Architect. I have my core areas of work primarily focuses on EPM business processes, including planning and budgeting, narrative reporting, EDMCS, and FCCS. I also have a good hands-on experience with the analytics as well. I'm a certified enterprise planning and budgeting cloud implementation specialist, and I was also a speaker at the Analytics and Data Summit happened in Oracle Conference Center, California. I'm also a certified blockchain expert by the Blockchain Council.
Thank you, Prakash. Yeah. So a quick rundown on the agenda, what we're going to cover as part of this topic. First, we're going to talk about the business challenges. So what are the typical challenges faced as a part of from the reporting standpoint, which businesses day in, day out face? Not just about your month end, like it includes a comprehensive your reporting with regard to your budgets, actuals, and all your financial report statements, what typical challenges are. Second aspect is why Oracle EPM Cloud and what are the different offerings does Oracle EPM Cloud provide? And within that, talking about the different reporting tools which Oracle EPM provides, the reporting tool options, and within that, where does the narrative reports sit, with a bit of a comparison between each of the tools. And then we're going to talk about the different features and functions what narrative reports provide to all its business users. And towards the end, we're going to cover it with a customer case study and have a forum for a formal Q&A also. So with that, moving to the business challenges, what we see typically based on our different project implementations and interacting with our different customers, the key challenges that we identified is repetitive manual updates that are required. So many of the business users have asked, when I'm generating a financial statement report periodically, like it's a monthly, quarterly, or yearly, every time I need to make the changes and to run the report, is there any way or automated way to get those things updated, typically with regard to the narratives, or maybe for which quarter it is, etc. Second aspect, what we have heard is lack of formatting capability. Like either you do it in a spreadsheet or Excel, which is pretty flexible, but it has got its inherent challenges. But if you're using any of the reporting tool, it's not flexible enough. And typically, can it be user-friendly with regard to the Microsoft Office products of Word and Excel, right? Third being sourcing from multiple systems. Many scenarios where customers are having multiple ledgers, multiple ERP applications, multiple budgeting applications, and they would like to source the data from multiple systems. And on top of it, if there is any non-financial or statistical data, it adds on to the multiple systems from where you need to collect the data. And with multiple system scenario, it also happens your system silos. once you try to get the data from multiple systems, it's very difficult to reconcile whatever the updates being made in one system doesn't reflect into the system. Is there any quick way to reconcile and can I really review if anything is available? In addition to it, multiple business groups involved. For example, some section of a reporting is to be taken care by a specific divisional manager, whereas another section is to be taken care by a separate divisional cost center manager, something to be taken care by the corporate finance teams, right? So how can each team collaborate? It may be HR, finance, divisional manager, cost center manager. How can they effectively collaborate? That's one of the key challenge on the same report. And can I have a financial control and a workflow capability where I can actually audit what changes has been made by whom? Those are the typical challenges and asks that have been made by the business users. Let's try to look into what is the kind of vision which each of those business users would be having as part of those challenges. So the idea would be, if I can have more of an automation, using more of a tool where I get a flexibility with regard to my day-to-day usage of the way I have it in my Microsoft Office products, and can it dynamically and real-time connect with the reporting tool database. Ability to break the system silos and able to integrate with multiple source systems in automated fashion. And last but not least, able to have a capability to provide an active feedback on the different sections where the multiple business users are collaborating. In addition to having the required level of security, a person who is supposed to have a security access for a specific section or docklet, or maybe a specific data for a specific cost center or division, can that capability be reached as part of that product? And that's what a vision which typically the CFO team or the reporting team would be looking out for. So let's move to the next section, talking about what is Oracle EPM Cloud and what is the umbrella of offering does it provide. So the key aspect first, before we talk about the EPM portfolio of products, the key aspect, it's a cloud product. It has got its inherent advantage with regard to no upfront hardware cost. All those headaches of maintaining the servers, latest and greatest servers, space, etc., has been not required to be worried about. It's been outsourced to the cloud hosting company, which in this case is Oracle. You get the latest and greatest updates as a part of the software patches. Again, we try to relate it with our mobile handsets, right? It's a push of an Android or iOS update happens. You're not required to wait for a specific downtime. Okay, I'm waiting for it, and it becomes a bigger project. Traditionally, what it used to be in the on-prem world. Being a cloud, it becomes much more easier. Easily configurable, a lot of self-service features, and one of the key aspects where Oracle EPM Cloud is way ahead compared to all other cloud, including the other set of cloud products of Oracle, it's pretty much easily configurable. And you can actually change how the look and feel of the screen is based on your requirement. So it is very flexible, and that's one of the biggest advantage of Oracle EPM Cloud. Moving to the next slide, let's have a look into the different offerings what Oracle EPM Cloud provides. On the left side, what you can see is a representation that Oracle EPM Cloud is not just for the finance team. It actually a product which is consumed by finance, HR, IT, sales, marketing, everyone. And on the right side, what you can see is the different product offerings. First being Financial Consolidation Close, also called as FCCS as an acronym. Second being Account Reconciliations, which is also called ARCS. Both of these products are typically used by many of our business users and customers to streamline their month-end, quarter-end, year-end processing. Third product being Narrative Reporting, which we're going to talk in detail as part of this session. Fourth, which is Planning and Budgeting and Forecasting. It's one of the heart of EPM Cloud offering, which actually not only houses your budgeting cycle, but also helps with your forecasting and a lot of reporting flexibilities. In addition to it, you've got profitability and cost management, enterprise data management. Enterprise data management is more like a kind of an MDM, master data management, a centralized place where you can house your enterprise or master data so that it is more in a controlled fashion. It is modified and can be pushed to multiple systems. It can be multiple ERPs or ERP and planning system, etc. And last is your tax reporting. So these are the different products which Oracle EPM Cloud provides. Moving to the next slide, just a bit of view on the license offering which Oracle provides. So what you see is the left is EPM Standard Cloud License as one offering, and second is EPM Enterprise Cloud License offering. This is just a quick comparison of what each of the license provides. Standard license is comparatively a cheaper option, enterprise license a little bit costlier, but again, based on that, also the additional features and functions you get. Talking specifically on narrative reporting, if you're going for the enterprise cloud license, you get disclosure management as an additional feature compared to when you're procuring your standard license. Similarly, what you can see for planning, account reconciliation, and FCCS, which is financial consolidation close, what are the additional features enterprise cloud license offers. Moving to the next slide, let's talk about what are the different offerings from the reporting toolset Oracle EPM provides. So Oracle EPM, one of the key product is Smart View reporting tool. And one of the good aspect of it is all the accounting users really love Excel. And that's what Oracle has provided as an option, that the accounting users can still continue using their Excel user interface, but added a plugin so that way you can actually behind the scene connect with a real-time database. Oracle EPM Cloud being an S-based cloud product, it has got S-based Cube as an underlying database. It makes a real-time connectivity with Smart View reporting tool. So users can actually get the real-time data from the database, pull into your spreadsheet. You can actually maneuver. You can use your formulas and all the great things in Excel. And if any changes are required, you can also push back and submit it back to your backend database. So that's a really good tool, which we have seen most of the users really love it. The next reporting tool that we have is Financial Reporting Studio. Now, this is kind of a structured, formatted, or if I may have to say, kind of a canned reporting, which typically you require for your financial statement generation, which has got a kind of a header formatting of the formatting, the way you see it, more structured with lines and everything. And you can have this reporting tool to be used. This is again used for your financial reports, the second tool. And let's talk about the third reporting tool that's been available as part of Oracle EPM Cloud. Moving to the next slide, Prakash. Yeah, which is a dashboards and infolettes. Oracle EPM Cloud has got its inherent dashboards and infolettes which you can utilize. And in addition to it, you can always customize and tailor based on your business need. So this is one of the good aspect of it, which you can actually, it's not just about the metrics, the details that you see, you can actually do a mouse over and you can get more elaboration for what those metrics are. So these are the what typically has been provided. And the fourth, which is narrative reporting, which is a different altogether a module or product offering which Oracle provides. As you can see in the snapshot, it has got a lot of different features, a lot of different sections and docklets. And we're going to talk about each of those in more of a detail in the subsequent slide. But just wanted to give you a bit of a preview of the four different offerings of reporting tool set what Oracle provides. Now the question comes is, which one to be used for what, right? So that is something which typically comes into the picture. So let's try to have a look into the comparison between each of those reporting tool sets. So what you see here, a comparison between narrative reporting tool, your financial reporting tool, which is typically used for management reporting also, and your Smart View reporting tool. Trying to compare against different features and functions. Again, all of those tools has got multiple output formats. It allows you to perform your calculation. Again, the way or the UI for it is different, but it does allow you for calculations. It is part of the licensing that has been considered as part of it. So all those things are part of it. In addition to the key difference that you find is with regard to your repository or the storage of the data, right? For Smart View, it is something which it doesn't store. It connects with the background database and it makes the storage. When you talk about your reporting package and narratives, that's where narrative reporting scores its way ahead, because it's a tool which actually collaborates your financial reporting or the financial data components, and also it adds your narrative reports part of it. So both of those are collaborated as a part of a single report. That's where the narrative reporting scores over. Also, it has got its content and workflow management feature, where you can actually have an audit trail and you can have a workflow approval process for each of the sections of your narrative or your financial data aspect. So this is like just a quick comparison that wanted to showcase across which product and when to be used what. With that, moving to the next slide, I would like to hand it over to Prakash to talk about why narrative reporting and what are the different features and functions narrative report provides to all these business users. Over to you, Prakash.
Thanks, Anil. Right. So the next few minutes, what we're going to cover as part of this session is primarily to talk about the feature the narrative reporting package includes, right? And how this be able to integrate it with other source systems and with some use cases is what primarily we're going to cover, right? In end of the day, why narrative reporting? So narrative reporting is not just a tool which allows you to create just a document, but this is a package of solutions together, primarily focusing on building any statement that you would like to publish at the end of your month-end closure or year-end closure or even the quarterly closures. But narrative reports includes a proper management report, which we know the financial reporting studios, one day it's going to go up from the product packages and primarily all our users will be primarily using the management report, which are part of your EPM planning suites, right? Similarly, you get the same module even in the narrative reporting world. Along with that, you'll also get a report package and a disclosure management. And disclosure management is more of like for the taxonomy, open and close, and it also gives you EDGAR formats, or if you want to export your data in XBRL formats, right? So that's where the disclosure management is primarily be used. Whereas the management reports are primarily a kind of pixel perfect reports, which you can leverage to build your financial statements, or even if you have your statistical data stored in either within your narrative reporting applications or maybe in another EPM planning or a different S-Base cube, you can still source those data and you can build those management reports even here, right? At times you may be thinking that you want to mash up data from two different data sources, right? So that's where MR within the narrative reports can also be helpful in doing that, where you can end up in creating multiple grids, one sourcing the data from the EPM planning and the other sourcing data from a Fusion or ERP or an S-Base cube. Also, get the report packages. Report packages are primarily developed using the Excel interfaces, which we're going to talk about in the next few slides. So, which includes data and then the narrative content, right, together. So moving on to the next slide, we'll quickly cover the features and the functions that NR includes as part of this package, right? So as I was mentioning, there are three broad categories: report packages and management reports, and then disclosure management. So disclosure management is primarily for the open and closed taxonomies and publishing your data in XBRL or EDGAR formats, right? Whereas the narrative reports is primarily focusing on preparing those descriptive contents, which may be a multi-pager document that you typically publish annually or quarterly to your investors or maybe for the public, right? In case if your organization is one of those public listed companies. Right, so where you will be sourcing data, not just the financial information, but also some statistical elements together with some descriptive content, which again changes dynamically, assuming there is some increase or decrease, which you want to highlight directly in your narrative content, right? So that's where the report package is primarily be focusing on. Whereas a management reporting is, again, highly formatted, uses those rows and columns with POVs, point of views, primarily focusing on building those financial statements, which does not require a lot of collaboration, but the moment you tap on any of those reports, it's going to regenerate those numbers or refresh the numbers based on the template that you're going to design the report accordingly, right? So, and one other thing that you can notice between these two sources or these two features is management reports are primarily connected to a data source, which are cloud-based, in EPM or Fusion or S-Base Cloud, right? Whereas narrative reports is primarily built using your MS Office products, which means like an Excel. If any tool has the ability to connect to your Excel world, probably you can connect any data source to your narrative content. So moving on to the next slide, more of highlighting the needs and the purpose of the narrative reporting, right? So here are some sections where it goes through some phases, right? So where you want to segregate the roles and responsibilities that each user would like to contribute as part of this narrative report, the descriptive report generation process, right? So that's where we segregate the NR based on docklets and sections, and then assign participants to those sections and docklets who primarily be doing one of those phases, what you see here. So what I'm going to cover in the next few slides again, right? So primarily the narrative reports together, it's data and narrative content together. Right. So as you see, it's a simple three-step process. You start off with a report package template creation stage where you typically say how you're going to style those template, either using a PPT or Excel or document. So which format you're going to pick. Again, that's the way how the report package will be publishing your end of the day content together, right? And adding sections, docklets, and then participants to each of those sections, right? So that's the second phase to it. And then the third stage is where adding content and reviewing primarily the participants who are going to contribute to each of those docklets, right? So those participants can be adding content or modifying, and one might be reviewing the content, and then the other person may be giving a sign off based on which the publications will be happening. So moving on to the different phases of the narrative report generation, right? So it starts with the authoring phase and goes on to a review and a sign off phase, right? So this is the authoring phase is the place where you will have a collaborative work together. Not mandatorily, it's going to be one participant or one person who typically owns a whole document or a section, right? At times it may be a collaborative work, and where you will also be able to track the content that's been accomplished by other users. Also, you can restrict other users not to be able to see other sensitive sections of the document. And considering all these, the styling of the whole document is controlled at a single template level. And then moving on to the second phase is where the other person will be reviewing the authorized pages, and based on his or her feedback, it may go back to the authoring phase again, or if not, it goes off to the sign-off phase where it officially gets approved or rejected for the publication. Right, in detail about some of these screenshot of how the authoring phase, you may start with the empty page and then you slowly add content to your sections, right? You're not necessarily your section is always descriptive, right? Your section can be a descriptive content or even charts or even tabular columns or sourcing data from a different application, or again, a grid ad hoc analysis grid from a different planning tool or within your planning applications, or even sourcing any chart that you built using the Excel world. And slowly it moves on to a reviewing phase where somebody will be looking at your content that you have uploaded, checked in, and he or she will be providing their comments. And accordingly, if it requires any additional actions to be performed, it goes back to the author, and the owner who's part of the author role will be making those changes. And finally, it goes on to a sign-off phase where finally it gets approved, and then it will be published for the outer world, or even maybe the investors. Right. Moving on to the next slide to quickly compare how the report packages are different from the reports. Right. So report packages are again narrative reporting. NR, whereas the normal reports are the management reports, or you can also refer it back as FRS, Financial Reporting Web Studio reports. So here on the report packages, more of collaborative work, whereas the reports are single click or maybe multi-click, and it doesn't require any collaboration, right? So based on the way you template the design, the canvas will be bringing those data back in those template. And both of these are integrated with SmartView, whereas the report packages are primarily developed using the MS Office interfaces, whereas the reports are designed using the web browser interface. And between these two report packages includes docklet sections and then embedding content from different sources and variables to make it more dynamic, whereas the reports are grid charts, text, adding images, and then it's more like a highly formatted reports. Moving further, to quickly talk about embedding content to your narrative reporting world, right? So let's say you have your Excel, not mandatorily or necessarily, you'll always have to connect your Excel to your EPM cloud platform or Fusion. Assuming you have an other third-party application which also has the ability to connect through a smart Excel interface, probably you can build a report using Excel interface, reference those intersection as a named table, and then check in the template back into your narrative report packages, right? So while you're creating a report package, you'll have to create a reference doclet, and then check out the doclet. And when you edit it and using the smart view within your document or PPT, you will be able to see the checked in Excel template. From there, you'll be able to import the named table, right? And use it back in your section where you would like to show those in as part of your narrative content, and then check in the doclet. And the moment you publish the document, it takes a snapshot of what you are trying to do as part of your Excel references, and it will go in as like a snapshot with your published document. And you can review it, and based on which, wherever you require some additional changes, you can always go back and change your Excel references. So with this means any system that has the ability to connect to your Excel world, indirectly, narrative report has the ability to connect to any data sources, right? Not just the embedding content, you'll also get all these text contents. You can edit these content using web browser interface or even using the MS Word features. Yeah, always the MS Word feature would be the best option because we are pretty much used to the MS Word world. So the Word feature will be more optimistic and optimal in the way you would like to format those content and show it in your narrative contents. And then showing data and then content together, right? Where you may have some tabular columns, and then for which you might have prepared some chart, which you'd like to embed it directly in your report packages. And finally, end of the day, all these will look like, although you see those in grids in your Excel, but when it goes into your actual narrative reporting content, it doesn't take those grids. And then moving on to another interesting section of the whole NR is the variables. You see two different variables, static and reference variables, right? So those are primarily where you would like to make your report more dynamic in terms of you're looking at a particular month. Maybe you're running this report on the quarter third, and some of your sections of your descriptive content should be showing quarter two as of quarter one or maybe last year, right? So those variables are again dynamic. It's going to change based on whichever period you're going to run this reports against, or not mandatorily that you'll always have to go into each individual sections and then make sure you have updated all those quarters, years, or anything that you would like to make it more dynamic, right? So the way you design the reporting package, it automatically picks up, and then the moment you run these publish these narrative reports, it will automatically updates those variables accordingly. And one another interesting side of the narrative reports are the notes. So notes are also packaged along with the whole narrative reporting content. At times we may get confused with the terms. I keep on using narrative reporting, but narrative reporting as a whole service, and within which you have the report packages and reports, right? So whereas the notes again is a common feature for anything that you use within the narrative reporting services together, right? So not necessarily, again, you'll be able to use this only in the report packages. Even if you are trying to build a management report where you would like to open it up for some notes, so the user, whoever is going to run this report, may add their comments on those intersections, right? So that's still possible even with the management reports, where you can add, just like adding a grid, you can add a placeholder to add the notes into your management reports, and whoever has the ability to run those reports can capture their comments. Hey, this is a test comment, right? So those will go against a particular POV combinations. And you also have the notes repository. From there you can pick those and then see what notes been captured so far, and you can also reuse these notes. You don't have to recreate these notes again and again in multiple reports. You can simply reuse these using all other reports as well. Moving further to talk more about the second topic that I would like to cover is the integration, right? So talking about how seamlessly we can integrate the narrative reports with other source system, right? So here is a quick glimpse of how the narrative reporting can source data from other systems. So talking about the on-prem application or the cloud applications, right? Cloud EPM, you can source data from planning FCCS, PCMCS, or on-prem, you can source data from S-based databases, right? Or even if you have a cloud ERP, you can source data from GL, SCM, FA, right? Again, you might be having this question, hey, where do you see the S-based databases in the SCM or FA world, right? Although those are not having those S-based databases, but those has the ability of connecting through a smart view using the OTBI connection extension, right? So that primarily helps in building those OTBI beautiful and exciting reports using those OTBI extension, and then you can source those directly into your report packages as well, right? Or even you have any office documents which you would like to source and embed it in the narrative report. That's still possible in this world. Moving further to talk about sourcing data from a single source, right? So here is an example where we are sourcing data from a planning space cube. I have two data points within my planning space, which is my dollar amounts as well as my statistical information, right? So it's all about stats and then dollar amounts together, which I want to use it in my reporting contents directly. So there are always two ways in which you can actually embed the content. Build a management report within NR. Again, you can build two reports or multiple reports or one report with multiple grids, one sourcing the dollar amounts, other sourcing the statistical data from your source EPM planning system. And you can embed this as a reference directly into your report packages, right? Or you can use the usual way of picking the Excel smart view and then build multiple sheets and create named connection and check in your Excel template back into your report packages and then embed those content back into your reports. That's the other way, right? So maybe if you are having a question, hey, if that's the case, this is fine. If I have multiple source system, how can I still be able to integrate narrative reports? Right here is another case where I'm sourcing data from my GL Cloud ERP, and then I'm sourcing some BI content. Again, any BI, any subledger data, right? AP, AR. So whichever subject areas are interested for me to show those in my descriptive contents, right? So DSO or DPO, which I want to show it in my reporting packages, I can build a quick BI content based SmartView sheets, and I can reference those using Excel templates and put it back into my reporting package as well, right? Or the other way, again, I want to source data from a different platform where I have the budgeted numbers, more realistic numbers, again, more realistic stats number. Maybe there is a delay between Cloud ERP and EPM, which is not updating these numbers on a half a day or maybe once in every day, right? In those cases, I want to see my more realistic numbers, real-time numbers. So this is another way of integrating multiple source systems together into your report packages. Moving further, this is one other aspect what we have observed from our customers asking for automating this report bursting. Although bursting definitions are packaged along with your EPM cloud planning suites or even the narrative reporting services, today as part of the services, it doesn't allow us to schedule those report bursting definitions to automatically send those emails on a particular day on a repetitive recurring time frames, right? So that's where you still have multiple options. If you have a server or a local machine where you can deploy a EPM Automate. EPM Automate is a kind of a utility that is packaged with your any cloud EPM planning system or any planning business process you might be procuring from Oracle will include the EPM Automate utility. Using those utility comments, you will be able to schedule these bursting definitions to send out emails, right? Or if you have a OIC, Oracle Integration Cloud Services, and through REST API calls, you can call those bursting definitions, right? Let's say you don't have a OIC, you can use a programming language which supports REST API calls, right? And you can deploy those codes in one of your machines, and the machine can automate those codes on a frequency in which you would like to call these bursting definitions, right? Even that's still possible. So talking about the security and then controls that are packaged with the narrative reporting, right? So I have observed one other question from one of our attendees is, hey, can I control if somebody not post data back to the source system, right? So that's still possible, right? So these are the out of the box rules that narrative report includes, which of course the service administrator has, as you can see here in the pictographical representation, which is the more broader role and which are the subset of those, right? So which typically tells us the service administrator being the topmost role, which is kind of a proper administrator admin role, whereas a viewer is the furthermost lowermost layer, which is just to view content and not to make any updates to the original section or the object within the narrative reporting content. Right, here is another way of looking at the narrative reports. Let's say I'm sourcing data from an EPM planning cloud application where I have the dimension level segregations. So if I, as a user who have access to both the applications, EPM planning as well as narrative reporting, assuming I'm trying to run one of those reports, which I'm logging in as user one, where I have access to any intersections, right? I'm able to see any compensation detail by each employee, right? I will be able to see that because narrative reports is going to inherit the role directly from the planning system if I'm sourcing data from the planning application, right? If I log in as a user three, right? If I try to run the same report and assuming I don't have access in my original planning services where I'm not able to see the individual employee level compensation details, here is how it will look like, right? So when I run the same report, since it's again inheriting the hierarchies of planning security matrix, so I will be able to see only the aggregated total employee compensation, whereas individual employee is not visible to me, right? In the same way, if I have a restriction enabled for a user not to write back any data back to the source system, I won't be able to. And typically the narrative reporting world are not like a web form or an interface where you can always punch in data back to your planning system. If that's a question, no, it's not possible. It's more like a viewable layer. Again, the viewing is limited based on to what intersection of dimension members you have access to. So I'd like to hand it over back to Hemal to talk about the customer case study. Hemal, back to you.
Thank you, Prakash, for sharing the details on the different features and functions what narrative reporting tool provides. So let's have a look into the customer case study where narrative reporting was one of the EPM product that was implemented along with others. What you see here, like this is again for energy and utility provider. On the right side, you see the different steps, like the way they adopted Oracle Cloud. So they started with Oracle ERP and supply chain cloud, more like a transaction systems. And once they got those products stabilized and adopted by customer business users, in 2021 is when they started adoption of Oracle EPM Cloud. So from the Oracle EPM scope standpoint, it included Close Manager, which is a part of FCCS, EDMCS, which is Enterprise Data Management Cloud, financial planning, workforce planning, and narrative reporting. Roughly around 25 business users are using Oracle EPM Cloud, and projects CapEx planning and the additional reporting enhancements is an ongoing activity which is going on along with that for that customer. So let's try to have a look into how they adopted this 5 different products and what is the EPM architecture looking like for them. So moving to the next slide, what you see here is on the right side is Oracle EPM Cloud products, and on the left is your Oracle Financial Cloud, which is the ERP Cloud product, which they have been using it. It can be also their on-prem. I mean, for any of the other customers, if you're having an on-prem ERP, even that is fine. The architecture typically remains the same. In the center of it, on the top, you see a EDMCS. That is a starting point since they had enterprise data management. So the starting point with defining new chart of account value segments or dimensions. That's the place where they started defining those new values or updating or even changing the hierarchies for accounts or cost centers. So once those changes are made, they used to push it in Oracle ERP Cloud as well as EPM planning application. From the transactional data standpoint, EPM Planning Cloud used to pull the balances for actuals from Oracle Financial Cloud, and that's where it had both their budgeting balances as well as actual balances, and pushing back the budget data back to the ERP application. Now, when we talk about the reporting standpoint, Oracle EPM Cloud has got even planning system which can have the reporting tools available. But in addition to it, narrative reporting was a advantage for the customer because they were getting more regulated because they got listed on the stock exchange, and they had more of a need of an elaborative narrative reporting. So that's where the narrative reporting, or the product called NR, was been implemented for them. The source for NR was EPM planning. So they had two choices: to get their budget data from EPM planning system and to get their financial actuals data from ERP cloud system. But they, for more ease of reconciliation, they wanted to have one single source, which is EPM planning, and hence the actuals also been pulled into EPM planning. And the EPM planning system was the source for three different types of data, one being actuals, second being budgetary data, and third, also they had a need to have some non-financial statistical data for the reporting of the financial statements. So all were housed into planning system, and from there, the data was fetched into EPM narrative reporting. In addition to it, they were having a close manager used more for their month-end close process tracking. So this is, again, going back to one of the question was asked is, can you have data pulled from on-prem EBS? Yes, you can have the source as on-prem EBS, or it can be any on-prem product or even non-Oracle product also. You can source the data into narrative reports for the narrative reporting purpose from multiple data sources. Obviously, if it is having an Oracle Cloud product, it has got a seamless interface available, and you can actually have it more like a close to real time. But if you're having a non-Oracle products, you need to develop those interface. Oracle EPM Cloud does provide the integration tools, as my friend Prakash had explained, and you can get close to near time data pull into your narrative reports to get latest and greatest numbers. So with that, moving to the next slide, which is again summary and recap of what we talked about, the different challenges and how Oracle EPM Cloud's narrative reporting tool helps in addressing those challenges. So talking about repetitive manual updates, as you saw from the solution standpoint, it has got its scrollover text, directional text feature, POV members, and all those values can be defined by the business user as a rules, and can be utilized to get more of an automated reporting on periodically basis. From formatting standpoint, as my friend mentioned, like you can have kind of Microsoft Word or Excel kind of formatting, and you can utilize it for your report generation. So the output of the report is not necessarily needs to be in PDF. It can be in the form of, from the output standpoint, can also be your Excel, or it can be also a PPT format, a slide deck if you would like to have it. That's one of the good advantage of Oracle EPM Cloud products. You can source from multiple systems. So as I mentioned, like you can have it if it's Oracle Cloud products like Oracle ERP Cloud, Oracle Planning Cube, like Oracle Planning Cloud, or you're having FCCS, there is a seamless integration with built-in adapters. But if it's non-Oracle product, you can use other integration tools of Oracle EPM Cloud to pull the data. Breaking the system silos, advantages, you can do a drill down from whatever the cell data set that you're seeing the balance. You can drill down to your data management layer, or actually if you have to the subsequent level, depending on what product you are sourcing the data from. Collaboration, I think one of the question was, can I have the audit trail like the track change mode forward? So again, narrative reports has its own different user interface where it tracks and audits the changes that have been made as a part of it, and also an audit trail of what is being approved by and what date and time, and by which user also. And last but not least, I think my friend also covered, like from the security standpoint, role-based and the multi-level security that narrative report provides. So one of the key aspects is being a part of Oracle EPM Cloud offering narrative reports. It inherits the security feature what Oracle EPM Cloud as a product overall provides. So That way you have your security and compliance at multiple levels, and also you're able to have your workflow feature inbuilt as part of your audit trail standpoint. So with that, we are nearing the completion of our presentation. Thanks to all of the attendees for OA2G. We would like to inform all the attendees that we are running a promotion for this month. So all attendees are eligible to opt for your organization. If you would like to have a 2-hour introductory meeting or training session for any of the EPM product demo or a reporting tools walkthrough or integration tools walkthrough, NexInfo will be providing it as a complimentary service. Please feel free to reach out to Melody or Doug, the contact details being provided. It is open for each of those attendees, provided you have any one of the Oracle Cloud product being purchased or you have got it implemented. It's not necessary that you need to have EPM Cloud. Even if you have your ERP, supply chain, or HCM Cloud of Oracle, any of those, you're eligible for this.
All right, thank you so much, Mal and Prakash. Looking in the chat here, you guys have done a really good job keeping up with the questions. We've gotten quite a few. So I'm kind of coming through here. The last I saw Mal responded to Glenn at the top. Next is Demansu. Did we get his question? Are there pre-built reports and narrative reports? Posted at 1:23 p.m.
Yeah. So Prakash, would you like to take a question that does narrative reports has got any pre-built reports as part of the product offering?
No, the narrative report doesn't include any pre-built report. Yeah, you'll have to build whichever you would like to build as part of your business need. Yeah.
And just to add to that, so each organization has got their own reporting structure need. What narrative report provides is more like a platform with all the bells and whistles, so that you can actually design it. And the designing the narrative reports is very much user friendly. So you don't necessarily need to reach out to your IT team. Even we have seen the business users actually designing the report as part of their narrative report creation.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go in order here. I also have some questions that were direct message, so I'll just go in the order those rolled in. The next question is from Ryan. Can you work on documents offline? And is it automatic upload/download, or can you export or import them?
Yep, you can work on those sections for which your provided are added as an author. Yep, you can work offline. All that you'll have to do is you have to, before you check in make sure you check out the existing doclet and then check in your most latest version, and that's it. And again, this is all doable using the MS Word or whichever styling format that you have picked during report package creation.
Perfect, thank you. The next one I got is a direct message. They asked, can users simultaneously add content like Google and MS Docs?
Yeah, adding content simultaneously to the same doclet will at times create some mess, because basically when you're updating your content, you'll always have to check out and then log the object, so you inform the others that you are making changes to your section, right? If that's the case, if the same doclet is primarily being consumed by multiple users, our recommendation is to segregate it by different section and then assign owners appropriately, and so each individual user can contribute to the overall document generation. And obviously, yes, you can track it back. Yeah.
Okay, and just want to make sure we cover the next part. They did follow up and ask, and are changes in text tracked by user?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. The next question from G. Douglas, can final published reports be pushed out via email without having any license?
Absolutely. The one who's going to receive the documents, not necessarily be a user of narrative reporting services. Even if you have some different IDs who are not part of the overall umbrella of services, probably they can also still be able to receive output generated either in PDF version, or if there are any management report which you are trying to publish, you can send those in Excel versions as well.
Okay, and this one sounds kind of similar. Is there track changes available in the report similar to Word to see what someone has entered?
Oh, correct. Yes, the comments that you typically added, right? So it's basically going to use the Word. Let's say I built a report packages using a Word styling format. So I can still use the whole words feature, right? So before I actually check it and back into my narrative report content, I can type in or use the Excel formats on features together. Word formats and features together to capture my comments. Apart from that, you still be able to capture those comments as part of your narrative reporting world, similar to how we typically capture those comments while we build some reports using Word.
All right, you covered the next one. Can you work on documents offline?
I think we just answered it back. Yep, you'll be able to work it offline.
The next one from Monique, does the NR reports and the Excel add-in keep track of the versions for tracking changes? Okay, that's kind of similar, but then they ask, can multiple users edit the report at the same time, and will they see each other's work real time?
Yeah, it's more segregation of roles and responsibilities. Accordingly, you'll be able to see who has completed what levels, and that's where you have the tasks and due dates based on which you will be able to backtrack the status of the whole document generation stages.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Can we use on-prem ERP as a data source?
Yeah, so that's a kind of a tricky question, right? So on-prem ERP, assuming that on-prem ERP has the ability to connect it through one of your Office products, probably, yes, you'll be able to embed those contents directly. And if there are no options, I know there are a lot of third-party providers which provides an additional extension to your Excel world where it has the ability to connect to your on-prem ERP system, right? Not mandatorily, again, it should be an Oracle EBS and any other ERP system, right? If you have the extension for to connect it to those systems using Excel, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, let's see. A direct message, can you connect from EBS on-prem or on OCI?
Yeah, assuming you have your OCI. Yep. Anyway, if there is no proxies enabled, or if you're already part of the VPC where your EBS is hosted in your cloud infrastructure, right? So if you are part of that, again, you have your Excel plugin which has the ability to connect to those EBS source systems. Yes, you can connect it.
Okay, next on R12.1.3, can we use that as a source?
Yeah, it's more of the same question, Amelia.
Yep.
It's just the EBS again.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we have Nermina's question was answered from Glenn. Yes, these slides will be available for download on our knowledge base within 24 hours, as well as the recording. Okay, from Patricia, is there a report dashboard with a list of reports that are available to all users?
Okay, so report dashboard is not available, but there are cards which are a collection of report packages, reports separately, and those can be accessed directly, or even you can use those task managers which are being offered as part of the EPM planning services in the latest versions. Yep, even using the task managers, you will be able to seamlessly integrate these services together and then show those in one of your cards within your navigation flow.
Great, thank you. I see we're getting close to the end of the hour. I'm going to try to knock out the rest that are in the chat, starting from Val on. So she's asking, where can we find documentation on integrating with Word?
Okay, so there is a site docs.oracle.com where you can find the latest documentations as part of any EPM or any services that Oracle offers as part of their cloud portfolio, right? You can find any documentation over there and at times it's again based on some exercise, you'll be able to easily pinpoint where exactly you'll have to look for those contents. But docs.oracle is primarily the answer to the question.
Okay. And from Joan, how do you address footing issues due to rounding and NR?
Yeah, that's one another a question that we have seen from a lot of our customers, right? So those subtotals, when you scale it up in thousands, the subtotals may not, at times, not in all cases, right? At times it may not show up. So we always use those subtotals, solve this puzzle in two ways. Using a subtotal as not a normal formula, we round it off and then add each rows. That's one way. And even in some cases, that may not be a direct fitment. In those cases, the option two that we prefer to do is, let's say there are 4 lines and then the 5th line is a subtotal. Between the 4th and 5th line, we introduce another line and then we hide the 4th actual line, which is the original data. And in the 5th line, we write a formula which takes a subtotal and then minus the preceding 4 lines. That way, we'll be able to address the rounding off issues in the narrative reports.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like Bill asked a question and then followed up a few minutes later. He says, it sounds like you are saying you can view track changes in Word or Excel at the document level, but it sounds like you cannot view track changes at the overall report level, which is an aggregation of multiple documents. Is that correct?
Correct. Maybe if you're tracking those changes or comments as part of the whole report package, you will be able to get a consolidated view to the whole report before you actually perform your sign off. Well.
Okay, I think that covers everything. If I did miss something, please go ahead and unmute yourself or type into the chat just to make sure we can address everything before we do close in just a moment. All right, I am not seeing anything, so I do want to thank both of our presenters, Himal and Prakash, who did an awesome job. Appreciate it. We're getting some thank yous from the chat as well, so awesome job, both of you. And that does conclude our session for today. So thanks, everyone.